how to absolutely love almost every day of your life. To make it clear, most of my days I feel like 9 out of 10. I feel like I'm really like living the almost the best life I could. It's not always a 10 out of 10. That sometimes can happen, but it's definitely 9 out of 10. Most people have maybe a 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10, or a 9 out of 10 moment, but I really have really good days. And so I think I'm qualified to talk about this, and there's a couple of reasons why I know this and how to go about this. And I'm just going to share my advice on how to really live a really good life. Okay, so there's a couple of things I'm gonna talk about, so I'm gonna give a couple of points. The first point is spiritual awakening. That is so important because that's the moment where you recognize that you're not your thoughts. That's the number one thing. So by listening to Mooji, Eckhart Tolle, Ramana Maharshi, Papaji, Sri Nisargadatta, Rupert Spira, you will realize that you're not your thoughts. But that's not everything. Well, that's a very good start, because the more you are just resting in or abiding in awareness rather than thoughts and giving thoughts so much attention, the more you will see that thoughts are not even necessary. You can perfectly live without almost having no thoughts. And Eckhart Tolle also explains this very nicely. He says 80% of the activities and thoughts that you have just can vanish, and it makes no difference. Actually, it becomes better. So that's point number one. Now, to make it clear, I'm bold, I'm kind of small, I don't have a girlfriend, and still I have 9 out of 10 days. And which is funny because everybody, okay, this could go into a huge video, but I'm just gonna try to give you the most important tips. Okay, the next thing is what I call lifestyle design. That comes hand in hand with so-called libido empowerment. Lifestyle design is that you think about what you want your life to be, and then do what is necessary in order to live that. And most people think about, their current opportunities, and then around those opportunities, they try to fit their hobbies. So, for example, you go into a workplace that you don't really like, or that you like only to 50%, and then in the evening you try to meet your friends to kind of balance that out. I say completely work the other way around. I say think about how you want to live, and then figure out, using technology and everything that's available to you, how so you can live like that as fast as possible. And I was giving the example of house sitting. So, for example, if you want to live next to the beach, you might not be able to afford it, but you could do a house sitting, and you're immediately in that situation. As an example, okay? That's what people nowadays do, for example, with couch surfing. They don't have money for traveling, but they're traveling for free using couch surfing, as an example. Okay, so lifestyle design is really figuring out how you want to live, and then using technology to live like that as fast as possible. Without thinking about, the real resources that you have. Think more about resourcefulness. Like Anthony Robbins used to say, it's about resourcefulness. So the third thing is libido empowerment. Libido empowerment is allowing yourself joy and sexuality. It doesn't mean go around and sleep with everyone. It means allow yourself being activated by what you're attracted to. So, for example, that's a good saying. Allow yourself to be activated by what you're attracted to. So if you want to eat an ice cream, let yourself be activated by the joy of getting an ice cream, like a small child. It doesn't mean necessarily you need to eat the ice cream or that you have to have a large portion. The same goes with sexuality. Let you be activated by people you find attractive, but doesn't necessarily mean you have to sleep with them. And the more you play with this energy, the more you let yourself be activated, the more you recognize how much control you actually have over your own joy. It's insane. Then the spiritual awakening also helps you with letting go of fear. Okay, the more you let go of fear, the easier and even unconsciously you can make decisions towards that lifestyle design without having to feel that you are disempowered by the fear that you hold inside. And there's many modalities, but spiritual awakening is a really good way to get rid of fear, like vipassana. You can of course have, ayahuasca. There's many ways. There's many body work, energy work things, craniosacral therapy, bija mantras, lots of stuff can help you get rid of fears. And EFT, tapping techniques, and so forth. So getting rid of fear is also very important. And then learning to go with your heart intuition. Heart intuition is not the normal intuition, and it's definitely not instinct. To explain the difference. Instinct is when you go down the street and somebody comes across you, you're going at 1 a.m. in the morning and you feel like, should I cross the street or not? I think it's better if I cross the street because that guy looks shady. That's instinct. And it's not always right because it's based on fear. Then you have intuition, which is more like, I want to do this because I feel that's the right thing to do. It's not fear-based, and usually it's usually more softer in that sense. It's not fear-based. And then you have heart intuition, which is like, you have to do this. Okay, there's like not even two options. You would almost have to force yourself in order to not do it. Okay? And then there's other things, which is, it could be the fifth or sixth thing, is self-love, loving yourself. By loving yourself, you are actually allowing the field of highest harmony. So a lot of people don't understand what self-love is. It's actually allowing yourself activities of highest harmony. So you close your eyes and you ask yourself, what would give me more harmony right now? And then you act on that, and that gives you instant self-love. And now comes one of the most powerful teachings. Being in the state of self-love is actually the highest energy field. It's actually your strongest field of resonance or law of attraction, because there you are authentic. In any other field, you are like different energy strings pulling in different directions. But when you love yourself, you are pulling in one direction, and your whole energy field is in its most powerful form. And thereby the amplitude, the strength of your power of attraction is the highest. It doesn't mean that you will attract billions of dollars. What it means is that you are in the perfect state to receive love, to receive whatever you need at that moment, and to see abundance coming from all the sides, not some specific side. Like, oh, I need this relationship, or I need the money. No, it's the form of abundance, like Bashar says, the kind of abundance that comes from everywhere, and you don't even look for it. But that's your strongest field of resonance. Okay? Those are like the fundamental keys for being really happy every day. Okay? And only if you go in the direction of all of these things, you will be super happy. You know where unhappiness really starts? By the way, if there are other people around you are libido suppressed, so not libido empowered, they will start to try to push you down. So getting rid of those people is also very important. You can kind of like fill them in on what's, libido empowerment, libido suppression is. But when they critique you a lot, which I call toxic metaframing, then you need to get rid of them. Get rid of them, like physically disconnect completely, no talks, nothing. Not even short talks, nothing. Completely disconnect, because then you can totally fall in your own energy field. Now, a lot of people out there, especially Americans, but it comes from everywhere, they are selling you all kinds of stuff. Like, the more successful you the more money you have, the happier you are, the better cars you have, the happier you are. It's all false. It's all false. There's only this kind of like self-empowered, content, abundance-filling energy that's already here in the now, that gives you that kind of joy. So you wake up in the morning and you're like, Hey. And for me, when I let go of the fears, which definitely came from Vipassana, I immediately got my van. I'm doing 4 years van life now. And sometimes I'm just like, especially if I compare it then to other people's lives where, they're sitting somewhere in the office, like, this is really good. Of course, there are moments where I say like, okay, this could be improved or something like that. But in general, I would say it's very, very good. Now, about libido empowerment, and this is something that you kind of have to learn very early on. Unfortunately, I didn't learn this very early on. There's some people like me who are not that successful with the opposite sex, with the opposite gender, or the gender that they're interested in. And it doesn't mean that you don't have your experiences and so forth. And I was a very successful Tantra masseur for women. Did over 1,000 massages, sometimes even with 2 women at the same time. So it's not like I didn't have experiences that were amazing and out of this world and so forth. But I never was like the guy who goes somewhere and a woman just goes nuts and is like, I need to get to know this guy or something like that. That was never the case. And I think in my life, maybe once, but I've never actually was hit on, not like overtly or clearly. So that was something that was kind of continuous in my life. And I learned that happiness, I don't know, for women it's the same, but I'm just going to talk from the male perspective, but for women it's the same. You cannot remove joy and sexuality and vitality and health. You cannot separate them. They're all kind of connected because they're all coming from the sacral chakra. When the sexual energy wasn't yet developed, it was only just pure joy from the sacral chakra. When you get older, it splits into joy and sexuality. That's like the 14, 15 where your testosterone as a boy is the highest. Okay? So what happens is if you have no opportunity as a man, you start to get frustrated. And that frustration naturally hits on your happiness level and your joy level. And what you can do with libido empowerment is do things, acts, which increase your joy level, okay? Or your opportunity for sexuality. So meaning, for example, if you are an online influencer and you're having success, more and more women are going to write you or just going to give you attention. And just as an example, okay? And as you do that, you will immediately go into libido empowerment. The same were if you are in a job or in some kind of social situation where there's a lot of women around you. You start to build that energy. And you don't even need like strong confirmation, just the fact that you're enjoying your time with them. And not even if you didn't have sex, but you enjoy that time with them and you get that energy, that kind of ping pong bouncing energy, you're actually in libido empowerment. If you frustrate yourself, then that will work the reverse. But if you just enjoy that will activate that energy. And this is what you constantly want to do because that's also the vitality and health of your body. So this is the reason, basically, understanding these kind of concepts on a deep level is why I have these 9 out of 10 days. And it really becomes 10 out of 10 when it all, like on those days where it like really clicks. And the good thing is that you have it all under your control completely. And really one of the best tricks is just to close your eyes and ask yourself, what would give me the highest harmony right now? Sometimes it's maybe just meditation, sleep, reading, coffee, tea, going for a walk, talking to someone, or not doing anything at all. It can be something super simple. And if you take all of these points, you will see that every day becomes better and better and better. And it's also better for you in terms of health. Because as these energy centers open, your energy, your prana, your chi, your vitality is better distributed throughout your body. Okay? Now, what you have to also do is, and this is the same thing with self-love, realize everything that's disharmonious for you. Be it your partner, your friends, people at work, the workplace, be it, ruido. What's ruido? Ruido in English. noise, any kind of noise that you don't like, just get away from it. Don't try it, or get, earplugs if you can't get rid of it. Whatever you have to do, get enough sleep and so forth. Eat well, all of these things, and you will see it will tremendously improve. And it's really not that dependent on what you're currently doing or what currently possibilities you are. You always have the possibility to slowly, gradually start improving that. And then you will start to see changes. And let me think if that was everything. And sometimes it's just the weather, to be honest. For me, it's the weather. I made the deliberate decision to get a van life, and now I can just follow the sun. So wherever there's good, weather, I just go there, and where there's bad weather, I leave. But I noticed that even if it was raining or a bit colder, I even had then a good day. And once you understand who's toxic, who's not toxic, by understanding toxic metaframing, which is also explained on my channel, you will see that you're just focusing on the people who are really good for you. And that also changes everything. If you have any questions about that, ask me, and let me know what gives you joy and sexuality or opportunity for both, or what gives you a higher harmony, what you do for self-love. Sometimes you want to just maybe book a massage or something, whatever gives you a higher harmony at whatever time.